and we are live, but all in the wrong places. So please, Jay, introduce the show while I fix all of our faces.
Welcome, everybody, to episode... Oh, God! I just saw the video. Episode 62 of the RetroSlot podcast featuring Wilson, quote-unquote, Belmont, as his Twitter puts it. We'll be talking about some Castlevania Rondo of Blood, some retro news, and some other shenanigans that we like to have here, such as... what's the question that we're going to answer in a second? If you could only have one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah.
Somebody earlier, just like, something to think about. Somebody earlier told me that they wanted lasagna with mashed potatoes, garlic bread, and cheesecake for dessert for every meal of the day,
That's way
every
too heavy.
day. And I was just like,
That, I think, is the wrong answer. Can you
That's
have a wrong
100%.
answer?
Whatever it is, it's wrong. Yes.
Yeah, it's the wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer. Oh, there's a wrong answer.
I'm getting a stomachache just thinking about it.
Yeah, right. I was like, there's no vegetables. They're like, there's vegetables in the tomato sauce.
Yeah,
Like, come
tomato
on.
sauce is a vegetable according to the USDA.
How
Are
y'all
you
doing?
claiming to be more of an expert than the USDA
I mean, yes.
in this particular instance?
FDA, USDA.
They
Wilson,
approved
how are
me.
you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. How you guys doing tonight?
Dude, I've been looking forward to this for 2 weeks. Ever since we planned this out, Wilson's coming back. He's coming on to RetroSlot. Longtime fans will remember Wilson from the oh my god, I forgot the name of the show.
Bruh.
I was like, tell me the lore. Give me the lore of
It's
Wilson.
written behind you on your door.
Revolver.
I mean, I don't know. This is news to me.
The Revolver podcast with Gary, Beasley, Wilson, and I. We used to have a good old time. We'd bring, I think it was either 5 or 6 topics to the show and just go wild for an hour or two. It was a great time. I miss that show desperately.
Wait, Gary, who?
Gary Diaz.
Okay.
What
I heard.
was
I thought
his-
I heard the last name, and I was like, wait,
our
is that a
little
Twitch
English McMuffin.
Our little English muffin Vita aficionado.
Yeah.
The
does great.
PlayStation Vita. There is no other console or handheld other than that to Gary
Yeah.
Diaz.
He's now got his own YouTube channel. I think it's called
Good Enough Tech
Good
Reviews.
Enough Tech Reviews. Yes. And it's actually really good. He's very funny.
He
He's
is.
always been very funny, but he also
Yeah.
he does a great job reviewing tech, but he's also very funny while he's doing it, which makes for sometimes tech reviews can be a bit dry.
Sure, that would be me.
Sure.
But not with
Absolutely.
Gary. And not with Wilson. Wilson, you have been modding consoles. You actually sent me an NES. I'm actually going to plug it in real quick and show how good the output on this is. But how did you get into modding consoles?
Well, like as a kid, I was always taking stuff apart, wondering how it works, things like that. But the great thing about like old consoles and stuff is that it's a very simple tech, right? You look at it, the circuit board is very clean. You can follow all the traces. A lot of old circuit boards have stuff labeled, so you know what to replace it with. If you suspect that that's what's gone bad, you're not going to see that nowadays because they don't want you repairing stuff. And second of all, there's more stuff crammed into a much smaller space with smaller components. But just a love for always taking stuff apart, wondering how things work. And then as I got a little bit older and had, my own disposable income, it was okay, well, take it apart, what else can you make it do? You know what I mean? Like starting with, usually people get into like soft modding consoles, like your PSP, your Wii U's, things like that. Which is always a good time. But for me, the big thing was I want the best possible output for my video quality for my old consoles on original hardware running on a CRT. That was the biggest thing for me. And it led down just a big rabbit hole on Google of different ways to achieve said goal, trying to get the best output for your consoles, and just a plethora, overwhelming amount of information, and eventually nestled into the right places, found the right people, and just studied hard. And like I'd had a little bit of soldering experience in the past, but never actually had there's plenty of people that show you what to do, but there's very few people to tell you like why you're doing what
Oh,
they're,
interesting.
you know what I mean? That's the big thing. Like showing someone is important, but telling someone why, I feel, is also very much more important.
Sure.
So I'm very much like self-taught in a way. I'm by no means like an expert, a professional, somebody that does this for a living, anything like that, you know, where, you know, somebody like Voltar or Modsville USA or, you know, one of those guys, like they're the real professionals, but they have some incredible videos out there with really good knowledge. You know, if someone's looking to get into, you know, soldering, anything like that, like that's Voltar and Modsville are usually a good place to start. Fantastic YouTube channels that can teach you a lot.
So what's your worst soldering story?
Oh
Like
man,
soldering nightmare
I
story.
know it right off the bat. Xbox 360. I was trying to reset glitch hack that, RGH hack it. You know, basically it just opens up the console to
Sure.
use your imagination, and so that was the big thing. Studied up on it. You know, got all the components I needed. I had done a good place to start, like if you don't want to tear open consoles and make mistakes, which like it's gonna happen, like that's, you know, welcome
Right.
to the modding community when that happens. But a good place to start is to get little do-it-yourself solder kits, you know. So I had done some of those on Amazon. Like I made like a let's see, like a clock here, you know, like it's got all
That's
the
cool.
circuits and stuff in the back, all the capacitors and things that you solder in. It's a good place to start. So I built a lot of false confidence doing that, and went to it. Everything went really smooth. There's a lot of small probing points in order to pull the NAND from it, and an even smaller point on the back. Which, when you watch people do these videos, you know, you got to keep in mind they're using like a really high definition camera, or in some cases like a microscope with a camera attached to it.
Like a super high zoom, right?
So these vias and components look much bigger, and they make it look a lot easier than what it actually is. And there's a part where I had to solder a 10K ohm resistor to a very, very fine point on the motherboard, and I thought I had it good enough. And I screwed up. It was bad. I pulled the NAND. Thankfully, I backed it up. But at the time, I didn't really know what to do when things got wrong. You know, I'd only watch the videos. You know, people never upload when stuff goes wrong.
No.
So I had thought for about like 2 months that I had ruined this Xbox 360 console. But once I had built up a lot more experience, like I went back to it. I remembered that I backed up the NAND, redid my probing points, was able to put the old NAND back on it, and basically turn it back to a stock 360.
That's
Never
awesome.
went through with the RGH. I will again someday, but I got really lucky that there was just one in my garage that was just the proper motherboard. You know, there's like 4 different motherboard revisions or something stupid for those things. So like it was just everything had lined up. It didn't cost me really any money, but it was a nightmare. It was terrible. It was terrifying. You know, you hate something that like works, and because you tampered with it, it doesn't work. But like, you know, it's gonna happen. But you know, you can start small, like I was saying, with those do-it-yourself solder kits. You know, do 20 of them. You know, give them as gifts. Make tons of clocks and give them out as gifts. You know, like
Well, my anniversary is today.
Oh, happy anniversary. That's
There's
great.
a clock.
You need a
I made it
clock.
myself.
Yeah, you need a clock. You know,
The Xbox 360 is the console that I'm most afraid there will come a time where there are no more that work.
The Slims
It's
were
true.
pretty solid though.
Were they?
Yeah, it was like the original like couple of revisions. I think they were just terrible. The Slims were solid. I wish I would have taken your advice, you know, however many years ago I started soldering. I'm not great at it still. I have like very basic knowledge.
That's okay.
By replacing batteries on Pokemon games.
Oh,
Which
that's
you would think,
perfect.
oh yeah, it's not a huge deal. Out of the like, I don't know, 15 to 20 that I've changed, I've bricked 2.
Okay.
Like to the point where there's like burn marks on the board.
Did you pull the pads? Is that what happened? Got a little too hot and pulled the pads?
No, like solder splatter, and then like trying to soak it back up, just burning the capacitors basically.
Okay. You could always, if you still have them, could definitely take a look at them.
They're
Next
somewhere.
time you do it. So the big thing about factory solder is that it's lead free. They had to do that to comply with a bunch of different laws and stuff that were being made back then. but it's garbage. Lead-free solder is garbage. You want the good stuff. You want the stuff that you need a fume extractor for. That's the good solder, you know, like
Get some
so
heavy metals in you.
man, you gotta have that lead, dude, that PB on that periodic table. So get you some leaded solder and add a little bit to that, and it will lower the melting point of that. You're mixing chemistries and stuff, but like that's fine if you're just removing everything and taking it out.
Sure.
But like next time, just maybe add a little bit of leaded solder, and it should extract much cleaner.
Literally, what happened was you take the solder off and then you let it harden and then do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what happened. Like I flicked it and flicked the hot solder onto like where the memory, there's like a little memory stick,
couple legs.
Yeah, it has a bunch of legs, right?
Yeah.
And so the solder went onto that, and I was like, "Fuck!" So then I had to order whatever the thread, right, to try to pull it up, and it just wouldn't. I couldn't get the braid. I couldn't get, and I was just sitting there with the soldering iron on it too long, and it was just literally
was it on the black top part, or did it flip onto the legs?
Onto the legs.
Onto the legs. So you had like bridging across the legs and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sucks, man. I hate bridging.
But I learned from it, like don't flick. I think what it was the the batteries have like the little metal posts or whatever, and one of them popped up or something, and it like flicked the solder over to that direction. It was weird.
Release that tension.
Yeah.
That can happen. That sucks. It's terrifying when you're in there with something hot.
Yeah, and I'm doing it at my computer desk. Mistakes.
I gotta have I got my own. That's where I do all that. Like the computer desk is the computer desk, and I had to buy I was so tired of fighting for desk space. I bought a dining room table for my computer setup, and there is no going back.
Nice.
There is no going back.
The dining room table is the cheat code because they're like wider than a regular desk, like they're deeper from the wall, so you have like way more room on that desk. It's nice.
I recommend it, man. Don't fall for the bull crap.
Yeah, don't play around with those stupid gaming desks you buy at like Staples.
Oh, the corkboard ones? Yeah,
they're so cheap. They're gonna fall apart. Plus, they're too thin. Like there's not enough room. You gotta spread out. You can't be like using like 8,000 DPI on your mouse. Like it's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
That's what I bought. Dog face mouse pad. Get yourself a big desk-sized mouse pad and a big old desk.
I have a solution for that. Controller.
Oh yeah, sure. That'll work too.
That's not wrong.
So Wilson, you sent me an NES, and I just want to show off. While we're talking about this thing, I'm gonna put on the screen how good this thing looks. This is on the screen right now is an actual NES console, and you modded this thing. You added a Super Nintendo video out port. And can you talk a little bit about like why this looks so fucking good?
So normally, you only have the option of RF and composite,
right?
Your red, white, and yellow AV cables. Before we really get into any of this, it's going to sound really like elitist, gatekeepy. That if you're happy with the way your console is, that's all that matters. If you like the look of RF, awesome. If you like the look of composite component or RGB SCART, like more power to you.
There is a charm to it.
There is, absolutely. I was playing I beat Keith Courage on your Turbo before I sent it back.
Well, that's the first time it's ever been beaten.
Enjoy that, but I had to play that through RF. And after a while, I was telling Sam, I was like, my eyes settled to it. It was like going back playing Destiny 1 30 FPS. But anyway, normally, you don't have the option for SCART or component, which is your red, green, and blue AV cables. What this does, it's a chip made by Tim Worthington that does all the magic, allows all the different, S-video, RGB, all the different, still keeps regular composite as well. That's the thing. You can go back to composite if you want to. partnered up with paired up with some things that Voltar and Greg from Laser Bear made. So Greg from Laser Bear made the Super Nintendo multi-out, so it looks just like the back of like how you'd plug in your Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Voltar made the quick solder board with the ribbon cable that connects to it, which saved me like 16 solder points with this new, it's just a ribbon cable that you just plug in and snap the little lid down on, and paired all those things up, and you get just fantastic RGB or component quality, output quality. If you, like I said, if you want to continue to use RF and AV cables, you can. It preserves all that. But what you have to do is you have to extract the PPU, the picture processing unit chip, which is a pain in the ass because there's a lot of legs on it. But once you extract that, you are basically placing that into the chip and then socketing that chip where the PPU went.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on. It's really cool. It's stuff that people way smarter than me made and know way more than what they're doing. I mean, Tim Worthington's been selling these chips for a long time, made different revisions and stuff like that to pair better with some of the stuff that's coming out, like RetroTink and all the different upscalers and whatnot that people are using, different input methods. There's the RetroTink, there's the OSSC, and what was the other one? The FrameMeister, wasn't that one of them for a while there?
Old one. I don't think they make that one anymore.
No,
but I got this one. This one's going through a RetroTink 5X, and I got to tell you, I mean, the output on this thing is gorgeous. It's, first of all, it's crystal clear. There's also like the colors are so vibrant, like, and because I'm sending this beautiful signal to the RetroTink 5X, when the RetroTink 4K comes out, like I get an upgrade on my NES, right? Like it's awesome. Eventually, like this, right now, I think it looks about as good. I have the analog. What is that one called? The
Mini NT Noir.
Mini NT Noir, which is like a top loading. It's not a Mister, but it's a FPGA based NES, right? Clone console. It looks great, but being able to slide the cartridge into the front through the toaster, like push it down, flap the cartridge down, see the gray screen, pull out the cartridge, blow on it a few times, put it back in.
There's a bit of charm.
Turn it back on. It looks amazing, and it's like it's like future proof in my opinion, as opposed to like HDMI modding something where, like, if you HDMI mod it, you're gonna get 1080p out of it. I like this RGB mod because, like I said, when the RetroTink 4K comes out, or when like the next generation of upscalers comes out, I'm ready to go. I can just plug it in and get all the benefits of 4K on my NES.
So from a picture perspective, is there much of a difference between like an analog and this method that you did?
In my opinion, yeah, it took me a while to like kind of notice it because it's really hard for people to, like, unless you're seeing it like being streamed or somebody uses like really, really good capturing software to get it. It's really hard to tell the difference when like you watch like a YouTube video or something, you know what I mean? Like it's really hard to get that perfect side-by-side picture of comparison. What you're going to get is you're going to get way more vibrant, brighter colors. You're going to get more sharp lines, less blurriness. Definitely, I mean, like the colors on it are fantastic. Now, another thing too about that Tim Worthington RGB chip is you can set it up for a palette switcher, because there's different color palettes for the NES. Different regions had different palettes. Europe, Japan, and us. You can set it up for that. The one that I have, Briar, I just have that set to the fixed NTSC United States palette. The one that like we grew up with. But AV cables are great. I'm sorry. Composite cables are great. They're fine. Like if that's what people like.
Oh, sorry. I meant analog NT Mini Noir, like the
as the analog. Briar, you would probably be able to answer that question a little bit better. I'm still waiting on my analog.
Yeah.
Is there much
It's like a different way of doing it, right? It's like with the analog, you got a mister with like a straight digital out through HDMI, but you're forever capped with that device at 1080p. So it looks really crisp, really clear, but you're always going to be dealing with Analog's software and how they do the scaling, whether they do like nearest neighbor, like pixel shifting, or how they kind of like, because like the NES pixel size, or the NES is outputting 240p like natively, and that doesn't multiply to 1080p evenly. So you've got to do some kind of like playing with that image to make it look right on a 1080p or a 4K TV. So it looks great, but it's always going to look as good as it does now. Where the NES that Wilson modded, it's going to look better when I upgrade my RetroTink 5X to a RetroTink 4K, because I'm going to get all the benefits of that new scaler.
Doesn't the RetroTink 4K have an HDMI in? And there's also analog out on the analog, isn't there?
I don't think the RetroTink 4K, maybe it does have an analog in, or a HDMI in. Yeah, maybe for like a PS3 or something. Yeah, that would make sense.
Well, the NT Noir also has analog out, like, or God, what else does it have? Doesn't it have S video too? It has like a whole bunch of stuff.
That is true.
Fantastic.
That is true. The NT Noir does have analog out, so you could actually hook it up to a RetroTink. But now you spent $500 on an analog. You spent $80 on the device that converts that. Oh wait, you don't need that because it's already got it. But then you got to spend. It's like, I mean, at that point, like, what are you doing? Like, it's like,
I mean, it might. Well, just
you've gone down a path that is so strange.
It's cost versus time, right? Because having the soldering knowledge to do all that stuff, and
you don't have to have time. You just gotta send your shit to.
So that's true.
Just poof.
And soldering equipment isn't like, don't buy like the bottom of the barrel like Amazon choice stuff. Sometimes the biggest thing is get one that's temperature controlled, that you can actually see a digital readout. Buy a temperature calibration tool so you can verify that your equipment is putting out the temperature that it's saying it is. As long as you've got good solder, you've got good flux, you've got a good iron, you could do some pretty good stuff. That's basically what you need. A hot air rework station. All that stuff is getting much more affordable now. And
I looked down
so much crap off Amazon, dude.
One of Voltar's YouTube videos was like a list of affordable stuff that he recommends that you can just buy, and it was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah,
and I think the soldering iron was like around $80, $70.
Yeah, 80 to $100 is a good iron. You don't have to get the top branded stuff. Like a desoldering iron is really huge. Using the desoldering braid, getting an electric one with a pump, life-changing.
Yeah.
Absolutely life-changing. And it was like when I got started out with glass blowing at first, like everything was really, really hard. And then you start getting the tools that you need and things become much easier. It's just like any other job with the right tools and the right knowledge. And there's plenty of it out there now in this day and age with, YouTube content creation and stuff like that. There's a lot of good knowledge out there. There's a lot of bad knowledge out there too, but I feel like that kind of speaks for itself when you see the person doing the work. Like if it's somebody that's like clearly uploading content that's doing this for a living, like they probably know what they're doing. But if it's just some weekend warrior that's cussing and swearing at it the whole time because it's hard, well,
that's my guy right there.
There's probably a reason that it's hard.
You also, so I sent you my TurboGrafx. This was actually my childhood TurboGrafx. I was excited about this. I guess what I've read on RetroRGB.com is that if you have a TurboGrafx, you need to recap it because the capacitors, if they're not leaking now, they will be soon. So this has been in the back of my mind for several years now, and you offered to recap it, and I was extremely excited. So I sent that off to you. How did that go?
It was a lot of fun. I think I told you a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is great. Package showed up. All my responsibilities are done. The lawn's mowed. The dog's walked. It's time to get into this. You know, open it up. Go to take the RF shield off, and well, that's funny. Like they soldered the RF shield together. You can't just unscrew the darn thing. So that was an adventure. Taking the RF shielding off. It was fun. It was a lot of work, but in the end, it was fun. But the recap, super simple. It's funny. Something as old as a TurboGrafx, the capacitors are still better than the one that always leaks in the original OG Xbox.
Yeah.
The clock capacitor that keeps track of your date and time. Every single, I think, except the latest revision of those, the last revision of that motherboard, those capacitors are good. But every single one of those I've opened up have just been leaking and corroded on the board, and
Black nasty goo.
it smells terrible. It's really bad. But the turbo, it was fun. You know, it's always really nervous when you're working on something for somebody else. You want to do the as best possible job as you can. You want to be clean about it. You want to put it back together exactly the way. You don't want to be left over with one screw and be like, you know, screw it, it'll be fine. You know, you do stuff the right way. I wanted to give it a proper testing. So that's why I had it on the tube through RF and played through Keith Courage. Damn, that game gets hard later on, dude. But it's so much fun. It's so good. People, listen, man.
People hate on that game.
Hot take, dope game. I'm just gonna say it. Yep, first TurboGrafx game that I've ever beat on actual hardware.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it was the first, and it was your console. So enjoy my stench of victory.
I have a question. Is there a way for Japanese PC Engine through duos or turbo duos to be converted to be able to read American Hue cards? You know?
I'm pretty sure. I haven't really looked into it. Turbo is always like an unexplored realm for me. You know what I mean? Didn't grow up with it. Didn't know anyone with it. So thank you. There's got to be a way to do it. The best way to do it would just be to get a Turbo Everdrive cartridge. And I know it's you could back up your cue cards and put them onto the Turbo Everdrive. And I know not everyone's super stoked when you hear Everdrive, you know, because it's borderline touching emulation realm, but it's really not. Everdrives have been fantastic. I have played more games than I probably ever would, and I'm not getting any younger. So, Everdrives have been super kind to me. I would say that would be a good route to go, because I've been looking at them on eBay, and I noticed that the Japan ones are much cheaper.
Yeah, they're like $100, right?
And I've been tempted to get one. So
they're much smaller as well.
Yeah, if I find,
I'd be shocked if somebody doesn't just make like an adapter.
There's got to be something. There's see in the NES there was a leg that you could clip.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. It was just one leg. So I mean, it can't be that much more complicated. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure it's something a little different. I'm sure it's more complicated. It's famous last words, right? Like,
right.
Oh, it won't be that bad. Finds the RF shield freaking soldered together.
Collected for the Turbo is expensive. A lot of those games are really expensive.
It's tough because they're good too. They're good games, and you want to play them.
Which I had no idea back in the day. I bought that TurboGrafx for $50 because it was on clearance, and all those games were like, I don't know, $5 to $10. Like, I just walked into a KB toy store, and they were literally like closing out like all their Turbo stock. So I'm like, well, I need something to put my bowl on. So,
did you have a Turbo growing up, Jay?
No, heck no.
Yeah, see, I didn't have one. I think my uncle had one. I think that was my first time I ever played Splatterhouse.
Oh yeah, we did Splatterhouse
like 5
on the show once. It was fun.
Yeah, I was like 5. My uncle's like, "Yo, you want to play Splatterhouse?"
That's like some crazy stuff. That must have been the cool uncle.
He was actually, still is.
I'm still waiting for the Analogue Pocket adapter set to be freaking sent out. I've had those
that's right.
for
I forgot that.
Yeah. because there's a TurboGrafx. So when they announced that they were going to have those as part of the Pocket, I started collecting a little bit.
Yeah.
So I have a good like 20 TurboGrafx games,
Oh,
and I've
wow.
never played any of them because there's no way for me to
You know,
play them.
Analog also has they announced that Turbo Duo.
Well, they announced that what year was that?
I don't
When they
know.
announced that
1984.
2021.
It was a good year.
No
Yeah.
news on that still.
No, I think it's gonna be a while. I have a suspicion that they are going to, that new their new OS that they put in the Pocket. I have a
Mhm.
suspicion that they want to make that ubiquitous across all their devices. So all their new devices are going to incorporate that library and the screenshots and the memories and all that stuff.
Sure.
So it may take a little longer for them to get all that stuff going. I suspect that's why they pulled the Genesis and the Super Nintendo off the shelves.
I have one coming soon. They
Which
did
one?
last year. They announced the Super NT and
Yes.
the last
The
run.
restock? Yeah.
I think I messaged you, Briar, and I was like, "Yo," you're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm trying not to spend money, dude. They just announced Super NT," and you're like, "Oh, I have one." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, good enough for me." And went ahead and just ordered one.
I should have just sent you mine because I never ever use it. Like I'd never use it. I just prefer to use a regular Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it's a good option though. I mean, it's a good, take it somewhere if you need to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to be
It's a
able to
good
hook up to TV. So
Yeah, it's a good streaming option too.
That's true.
yeah.
So Jay, we got a couple discussion topics.
Yeah. So we'll circle around back to the Wilson stuff. First question is, if you could only keep one physical game, what would it be?
Oh, man.
You're kind of a son of a bitch for even asking this question.
Oh,
Yeah. Physical. Like you can still have your digital stuff that's going to disappear off all the
Right.
marketplaces, but if you had one physical game to keep, what would it be?
Oh wait, this is gonna be like my only game. I'm not gonna be able to play any other video games.
Physical. No.
at all?
You can play. You can
I
play
can play
digital
digital
stuff.
games. Okay.
But what like the physical game in your hands to
Okay.
hold on to?
I mean, my answer is gonna be pretty boring. Like there's three answers that come to mind like right off the bat, and they're games. They're the games that I play all the time, and they're Ninja Gaiden for the NES, Castlevania for the NES, and Link to the Past, which I don't play all the time, but it's like the one that I always like. I gotta play that again. I gotta get back to that. So it's one of those three.
My life. Link to the Past changed my life. Christmas 1992, best ever, dude. Super Nintendo, Link to the Past. My mom still has that on VHS. She sent me some pictures of like straight up like Nintendo 64 kid with the Super Nintendo.
Really?
Like, yeah, I'll have to put them on. I'll
Yeah,
put
you
them on Twitter so you can make fun of them. There's some good ones. Like there's some gaudy furniture back then. Holy. But Link to the Past would probably be my answer. But since you already said that, Chrono Trigger is always good. It's got like 11 endings.
That's a lot of. And it's gonna take a lot of time up, right? It's like
New Game Plus. So I think that would be a good answer. You could, I know you can play everything else digitally, but that's also a game that's pretty near and dear.
Chrono Trigger, you're getting some value too, like monetary value. Like you're holding on to a treasured possession. NES Ninja Gaiden is not a treasured possession. There's like a billion of them.
But you might have to sell a treasured possession in order to get the physical Chrono Trigger.
Yes,
So,
that's true. Like an arm.
a leg.
If I was gonna answer it, I mean, like I was thinking about it while you guys were doing your answers, and like I could go for like a favorite game or whatever, but really, my brain goes like, what's the one thing that I probably would never be able to acquire again?
Okay.
And it would probably be my first print Mario that I didn't sell.
Oh, okay.
The one that's right here behind these games.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I sold the graded one because it's whatever. But this one, it's well worn, but it's got like the original sticker on it from New York, and it's got the the matte sticker right there, and it's just like the beginning of history,
Yeah.
I'm saying. I mean, that was the first. It's such a cheesy answer. What was the first game you ever played?
Yeah, it
Super
probably
Mario
was for me
Brothers.
too.
Yeah. My mom handed me the controller, and that was it.
Yeah.
I've never beaten that game. And I always mean
Really?
like
I don't think I
should
have
go
either.
back and play that game and just beat it. But I've never
Do it in
done
like
it.
30 minutes.
Yeah. I've just never done it.
Oh, if you skip half the levels, sure.
Yeah, just skip like half the game.
You have to play every level.
No, I just I kind of just want to like beat it, like the satisfaction of beating Bowser in 8-4.
Dude, I've been on a tear lately. Like, I don't know if it's like I'm coming to terms with my own mortality as an old man. Like each year it goes by, concrete gets harder and harder. So I'm like, dude, I need to beat some of these games, dude. Like, are you just gonna be sitting around talking about this when like you're 90 and like your hands don't work anymore? Like, no,
they'll still work enough.
I'm
we'll just
hoping
have
for
to get
that.
like ergonomic controllers, like those big phones for old people that have like the big soft buttons. Yeah. They're gonna have to make like geriatric controllers for us, but we'll still be playing them.
I don't know why I don't have the drive to like beat all these games.
Yeah,
like that's not in me at all. Like just experiencing them, feeling like I've gotten the majority of just like the experience of the game is enough for me. Like feeling what it's like going through the hardship of dying and restarting and like pushing through and beating some bosses. It's like that's plenty for me. I don't know.
I
guess
get satisfaction out of like kind of checking it off the list, right? It's like, especially when they're games I had when I was a kid and couldn't beat them.
Yeah.
To come back to them now and kill it, it's like, oh man, that is super satisfying to me.
Yes.
And
it's as good as killing the guy that just teabagged you in a game, and then you get to it's
similar.
Good. Yeah, it is. I feel you. That's how it started for me. Was beating games that I had as a kid, and then it was like games that I always wanted. Right?
Yeah, games that I wanted when I was a kid too. That's a big one. There are some though that have stymied me. Like I still don't know how to say this properly. Chakan the Forever Man, Chakan. It's a Genesis game. Chakan, sure.
I don't know.
Yes.
It is fucking impossible. It is so hard.
So the game for next week. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I have like gone onto YouTube and like looked for guides, and even the guys running the guides are like, this game is like ridiculously hard. It's so difficult. And the funny thing is, you can't die. Like when you die, you just get sent back to the level. There's no like you infinitely continue. It's just that the controls suck, and like the swords are so cool because you can swing them in any direction, but it creates a situation where it's very, very difficult.
I bet there's a speedrunner that's beat it in like 3 minutes.
Oh,
I don't know, man. This game is hard, but you're probably right.
Yeah. It'll probably be on GDQ this summer, guaranteed. Like, so.
It's right.
So the next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you ready to move on to the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why these are the discussion topics for today, but if you could only have one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah.
Like every meal, every day.
This is hard.
There can be some variation. You can like put different spices, sauces, whatever on it.
Can I ask you a question? Are there health consequences to this decision?
100%.
That makes it way harder.
I was gonna say my wife's country fried steak, dude.
Oh yeah, man. I bet that'd be good, but life's gonna be short. Like you're only gonna have like 7 of those.
Going out swinging.
Wilson's got a heart attack coming next week.
But damn, dinner's gonna be good.
This is like you seen Super Size Me?
Yeah.
Oh God, McDonald's every meal for every day for 30 days.
Yeah.
And he was trying to do like healthy options where they had salads and stuff.
I did that for a weekend. I almost felt like I was gonna die. I was up in Montreal with friends, and because we're cultured, we were only there to drink. We we just kept eating Burger King all weekend.
Oh man, the BK Lounge.
I mean, knowing that it has health consequences makes this choice so difficult. Because you're going to have a balanced meal.
Yeah.
But something you're not going to get sick of.
Yeah. Screw it. Country fried steak, 100%. Mashed potatoes,
I'm
sawmill gravy, corn off the cob.
Yeah.
A little bit healthy.
Okay, so if I chose something like steak, could I some days have like a ribeye, some days have a filet?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? Oh, okay. So I'm going steak. That way, if I ever go visit Wilson, I can have some of that country fried steak.
It's like a full meal, all the fixins and dessert.
Can I just choose Thanksgiving?
And only somebody said, "Can I have?" Like somebody earlier was like, "Can I like, choose like a 20-course dinner, but only
Yeah.
eat some of it sometimes?
Yeah.
No.
I choose Thanksgiving.
That doesn't, no.
Why not? That's a
That's
meal.
great. Yeah.
It's only anything that you can put on your plate, but it has to be those items for the rest of
Just
your life.
very small portions.
Like
Except
one
cranberry
bite
sauce. Pile that on.
Yeah.
You ever had horseradish cranberry sauce?
No.
No.
It's like nose spice.
What would you choose, Jay?
Yeah.
Mine was like, I like all the nasty foods too, but
Like
it was
broccoli?
like
Are you a
chicken.
broccoli lover? Are you a dirty broccoli lover?
I do love broccoli. What's wrong with broccoli?
Nothing, man.
You do you, man.
Either, oh, good Lord, the passive aggressive, you do you great.
Oh, so
It'd be like chicken breast with, maybe a little rice and either broccoli or a Caesar salad.
Dude, I'm gonna get so sick of that.
Caesar salad.
Well, you can have different seasonings, different sauces.
Different sauces on my chicken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's there to choose?
Teriyaki.
Barbecue and teriyaki?
Teriyaki, lemon pepper, salt and pepper.
I'm definitely sticking with steak. Steak, there's so many more options.
Yeah, I do like steak too.
Also, it's just better than chicken.
It is a
good
lot of red
steak,
meat.
yes.
How long do you think you could just survive off of just steak?
Just steak?
Just steak.
Some people do it. Like,
Right?
Yeah.
They do like that, like meat eater
My
diet,
grandpa.
right? Yeah?
with the
Yeah, 2 packs of smokes a day and like steak and bacon, and the dude lived to be like 500.
Living the dream too, right? Like that quality of life as well. 2 packs a day and a steak. Yes,
Dude.
please.
Dude, he was built different. That's for sure.
We do not advocate for smoking many cigarettes with steak as your diet.
Right. Do it separately. You don't want to ruin the flavor of the steak with the nicotine. Don't be dummy.
So true.
I don't know, man.
I think
so
Jay
hard.
had the best answer for health concern
I don't know,
reasons.
Yeah,
why.
that is definitely better
boring.
for health.
Yeah.
But I'm
Well,
gonna get
and
sick of it
just-
so fast. It's gonna take all the joy out of eating.
You don't think you're gonna get sick of like a heavy meal super fast?
You can eat a little bit of steak. You don't have to eat the whole fucking cow.
It's like really thinly sliced, on crackers or something.
You get a little. Okay. So here's the meal: steak. I'm not gonna specify which kind of steak.
It's been almost an hour and we're not even through the intro yet.
A side of bread, right? Like a roll or something. Potatoes. I gotta go broccoli, I guess. Like, what is my salad? Salad counts, right? Can
What,
salad
what
be
kind
on
of
there?
dressing? What kind of dressing?
I gotta choose the dressing. I can't have like a variety of dressings day to day.
Fine.
You give too easy.
Well, it's not a one salad for every day.
Okay.
Fine.
And then there's got to be something else on that plate. Asparagus, maybe. I love the way it makes my pea smell. It's super
What
fun to me.
the fuck,
Same.
dude? You're hating on
Not mine,
broccoli,
but
but you're
yours.
an asparagus lover? What
Broccoli
on
makes
earth?
me fart. Asparagus makes my pea smell funny. That is a leg up for asparagus.
Leg
Maybe
up
some
for
cauliflower.
asparagus.
But that
Leg
way,
up.
some days I can make a steak sandwich. Because I got the roll and I got the steak right there.
You are the king of nuance and caveats.
Leg up for asparagus is their new marketing campaign.
That's right. How to have fun with pea. We should probably move on to the news.
So we kind of mentioned this a little bit on the DCP. The Gran Turismo trailer released. It looks great. Looks fantastic. Briar agrees.
So, is this really True Vanguard's friend?
I don't think so. No,
It's not.
No, it's
Okay,
not.
so
I
the
looked
subject
I
of the
looked
movie is
into it.
not that guy? Okay.
I don't think he's ever streamed on Twitch. I looked
Okay.
into it.
Because
It is
If
about
it-
a guy though.
if it was somebody, if there was a movie about somebody I knew, I would be overwhelmingly supportive.
Sure.
But since it's not, I don't feel that need. And this movie does. I hope to be pleasantly surprised because I'll definitely watch the movie. I love motor racing. I love Gran Turismo, so I'll definitely check out the movie. I mean, I watched Need for Speed, for Christ's sake.
Have you seen the trailer, Wilson?
I have. I don't know. There is something charming about bad game movies. The original
Wow.
Mario Brothers, the original Street Fighter. I mean, I don't know. I still love them. But like Briar said, if it was somebody I knew, I'd be overwhelmingly supportive. Like if any one of you guys were in a movie, I'd want it on Blu-ray, VHS, DVD.
All my friends would get that as a gift, right?
I mean,
Merry
yeah.
Christmas, Gran Turismo, the movie.
Like,
Thanks
Tell
on
your
DVD.
friends.
On DVD. This is great. I don't even have anything that can play DVD anymore.
ooh, I signed that copy. That's a good one. But like, I'll probably watch it like during my off
I'm
season.
totally gonna start sending friends gifts that I sign.
You don't sign all of them, just some of them, so that
Only
it's
the
like
friends I really like.
Or don't like, I guess.
I probably won't go out of my way to see it though.
Yeah, when it comes
Yeah.
out on like a streaming service, I'll
Streaming
definitely
is,
check it
yeah,
out.
well, I'm in the same boat. I'm not going to be like pre-ordering this tickets to it or whatever, but you know, I don't know. As far as like movies go, and it's all like live action racing and all that stuff, right? Too. It's not CGI, so I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Could be good. We'll see.
I don't like driving fast cars. I drive like a grandpa, so
We own a Prius and a Mazda 3. That's actually, it's a manual, so it's fine. It's,
A Mazda 3. I like the Mazda 3. They're kind of fun
yeah,
cars.
no, it's great. Yeah.
Manual.
Medieval. Have you guys played this game? The
Yeah.
PC
Little
PlayStation game?
PlayStation game, yeah.
Mhm.
So I put figurehead, but basically one of the like main like designer, his name is Jason Wilson, otherwise known by the pen name Jay Gunn, is one of the key figures of the creation and development of Medieval. And he's gone through some hardships. It doesn't really say exactly what, and he didn't really want to explain, but basically he got let go from like the video game job that he had for a long time, and push came to shove, and he's like, all right, I need to sell off like all of my memorabilia, and he's got like sketches and concepts and full art stuff and all these things and plans, and
Ooh, this
it's a
is
pretty
wild.
comprehensive. Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. And fast forward till about yesterday or the day before, I'm guessing either a private benefactor or like a museum reached out and offered to support the efforts. And with all the response that he got on social media and stuff, he's like, screw it. It's just going to be preserved. I'm not selling it. So I don't
Cool,
know
man.
exactly
Hell
what's
yeah.
coming of it, or maybe he's getting a job in the industry again or something. But it's wild to think that somebody that has that much influence on a game that so many people loved and stuff is going through so much hardship. You know, it's tough to see,
Yeah.
but it's good to see this stuff get preserved.
It's also kind of cool that he showed some of it too. It's pretty neat looking
Oh,
stuff.
like so much stuff. Yeah, it's on his
Yeah.
Twitter. Yeah, big old lengthy Twitter thread.
Neato.
it's cool to have, like you're saying, stuff preserved, because then you're going to end up with like an Atari Sword Quest situation where people don't know where like the gold crown and the gold sword that was promised as prizes went to. Totally didn't get hawked by the guy who owned the company at the time as it was going under. It's a great story if you guys haven't looked into that.
I'm
I
gonna.
haven't. So this isn't really news, but a story kind of came out about Sega back in the 90s. The international offices did not like each other. So the story was kind of, Japan would ghost the North American offices for Sega and stuff, and they like wouldn't respond to questions, and like didn't have any good faith with North America and all this stuff. And there's speculation as to like this was kind of the beginning of the end for Sega, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there just wasn't any communication. They didn't talk to each other, and it was kind of both ways. And it's just wild for me to think that a relatively cohesive company, at least that we thought of back then, would just be this mismanaged.
The book Console Wars is a fascinating read that deals with this time period for Sega. Mostly Sega, like it deals with Nintendo a little bit, but it's mostly told through the Sega's point of view, and it's fascinating. And like the disagreements that Sega America was having with Sega of Japan were numerous and led to such disasters as the 32X and the Sega Saturn being released, like, I think it was 6 months early in the United States, and like but only like having enough for like very certain retailers, and retailers getting really mad and like holding a grudge and not wanting to stock it at all. Like, really, the downfall of Sega was very much because there seemed to be jealousy about how popular the Genesis was in America, and stuff like that. So
They were trying to beat the PlayStation 2, right? At the time?
to
Or was it
market,
PlayStation
yes,
1?
yes, PlayStation 1,
PlayStation 1?
yeah.
Yeah. Because it was way more expensive.
Dude,
And all that stuff too.
with the conversion rate compared from now to then, it was crazy.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it was like $5.99 or something the Saturn was announced for. And then PlayStation's like, yep, $2.99 or something like ridiculously cheaper. Like they're like, oh shit.
I didn't know anybody who had a Saturn.
No.
I
Well,
didn't know anybody.
no. Sega CD, I think. I knew somebody, but not a Saturn.
I had a Sega CD. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny though, because Saturn has so many good games in the library, which is why Sega is hearing from everybody that they want Saturn to be remade in some capacity, like the Mini or whatever, with all the games licensed and stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll see if we end up getting any of that in the next couple of years.
The greatest part about like playing Saturn games in the modern era is that so many of them are fresh, right? Like, because I didn't have a
Right.
Saturn back in the day, so getting to play all these old games, but with like they're new to me. There's so many good ones on that console. That just,
A lot of good arcade ports, right? Like
Yeah.
fighting games and stuff. So
Yeah.
Marvel
fighting
vs.
games,
Capcom and all that.
shoot 'em ups.
yeah.
So did you check out the images for the next story? Briar
What
and
is it?
Wilson? So somebody made a Halo
Yeah.
evolved demake for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Oh, neat.
Currently only the first level is available, but you can download it. It's called Halo Devolved. And basically the whole website, it's what? sofaswordsman.itch.io.
Oh, they got a special version
And-
for the Analogue Pocket as well.
Yeah. So he's got some video of people playing it and stuff here. It's made with the GB Studio, which I've not tinkered with, but it seems like a lot of people are making software for Game Boy with that, so it's pretty cool. I don't
That's
know.
awesome.
It's
It
like
looks almost like Pokemon. Do you shoot? any?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Interesting. I'm gonna download it. I mean, why not?
I imagine you could probably load it onto your Pocket.
Yeah, there's got a pocket specific version that you can download and just throw in your pocket and play.
I'm gonna throw it on the Super Game Boy for sure.
There you go. See
Got
what
the-
colors pop up.
Yep. Got the Crix Everdrive for the Game Boy, and I love playing that thing on the on the Super Nintendo on the big screen. It's nice.
Nice. We were talking about Analog a little bit earlier. They released new updates for everything.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them for Pocket, and basically they summarize it as they fixed all known bugs for the Super NT, Mega SG, and NT Mini. And then there's a bunch of updates for the Pocket, like making stuff look better, fixing issues with the dock, and all sorts of other stuff. So just very comprehensive. There's like 100 fixes here.
Yeah, it's comprehensive. It is worth noting though, for the NT Mini Noir, the Mega SG, and the Super NT, this breaks the jailbreak, so that
I knew it.
you gotta kind of give it a minute. You gotta give it a minute for like that side of things to catch up if you want to continue to play like ROMs on your devices. But they will catch up. There will be a jailbreak released for this firmware. For the Pocket though, I don't think it does. I think it's
Interesting.
A-okay. Did you get a Pocket, Wilson?
No, but I want one. There's so many damn things I want.
There's
man.
so
and
much,
I
right?
can swing it, but it wouldn't be. It's just I'm finally on the responsibility path for the past many years. So
Sucks, don't it?
yeah, a little bit.
Are you charging for your modifications of consoles?
Not really. Like I said,
Should
like
be.
if it's for friends that want to get like better output and stuff like that, like I don't want to. There's people that if you want to pay like a premium price to, you can send them some stuff and they'll gladly mod your consoles. I just like doing it for fun. It's great. I love going on eBay, buying broken stuff, getting it seeing what can and can't be repaired on it, if it's going to be put in the for parts pile, or if you can get it up and running again. And it's such a great feeling, man, rescuing something from the trash bin of obscurity.
Well, I might have a few things that I can just send you. You can have, and you can do whatever you want with them.
If I get them working, I'll send them back, man. So
Nah, I don't need extra consoles. I just want to get rid of them.
no, man, dude, I was up to like 9. Yeah, I think it was 9 Super Nintendos at one point. Like
Wow.
some that I had fixed. And finally I'm like, dude, I just gotta get rid of these things. So,
Yeah.
like hit up the homies, like, dude, does anyone need a Super Nintendo?
You should just put it on Twitter, like, hey, does anybody want one of these? $200.
Yeah, it is nice. It is fun. I finally got the ones that I actually want to keep. I've got the one chip Model 1. I've got the Model 2, and then I even picked up a Super Famicom Japan one, just because it looks so cool.
Yeah,
it looks so cool.
Those are cool, yeah.
I picked up the Super Game Boy for that as well. I have a black and white Sony PVM, and then I have like a normal like colored PVM. But the black and white one, I was like, man, what am I gonna do with this thing? And Steve from RetroTech was like, dude, they make great dedicated Game Boy players because they're black and white. So it's like, oh, that's great, dude. I'll get a Super Famicom and then hook it up to Game Boy. And I'm like, what am I doing? These things natively output RGB, so I got another one in case I need. I don't have a problem. I don't know why you're looking at me like that, Briar.
I mean, most of my consoles are complete in box, so
that's cool.
Yeah, it's like any of the other stuff. I was like, I don't need just more consoles sitting around. That's for sure.
Right on. Well, yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Like I said, though, I mean, it's stuff that you could always sell and get more cool stuff in the box.
Oh, that's
getting any
basically what I did for a decade, and that's how I built my collection was. And so these are like consoles that were broken that I got lots of stuff, and the games were fine, and I traded or sold those, and then just the consoles didn't, but it was like extra. It's just like stuff that I don't really care about, and I don't have the knowledge to fix stuff, and it's not worth it to sell them really broken. So
I feel you.
Anyways, so I didn't even know they had a video game Hall of Fame, but Barbie fashion designer made it into the Hall of Fame alongside Last of Us, Wii Sports, and Computer Space, which I hadn't heard of. That's like an old game. But this is from I'm trying to remember what museum this is. The Strong National Museum of Play. So there's currently, if I remember correctly, it's only like 40 games in the I looked at the website. If you go to the website, you can see the Hall of Fame. And there's a lot of like, stuff that you would expect to see. There's Super Mario Brothers, like Halo, just all sorts of random stuff. But the funny thing is, it really feels like they pull a bunch of random stuff from different genres and things, because like GoldenEye is not on there.
Well, I mean, you've got to have like your first one, and then you've got to have your first 5, and then you got to have your first like 40, right? Like, how do you select?
Yeah, right.
It's like impossible. It's like when like a website does like, here are the top 100 video games of all time. Like, how do you make a list like that?
Yeah.
How do you start a list like that, right? It's like, what's the first 5 games on this list?
Yeah. It really seems like they've been focusing on games that broke the mold.
Yeah.
Or games that really did things differently. So that's why, like, Barbie fashion designer, for girls at the time, there wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
And it was kind of an entry level into that. So it deserves respect. Like Wii Sports is the same kind of thing at the time. It may not, looking back at it now, it's not the best game, but it was one that was so different and
so
unique.
Fun though.
Oh, exactly. Just the fun factor and bringing people into it that had like never really played games before or didn't play much and all that stuff.
And Barbie fashion designer, while definitely I'm not the demographic that they were looking for, like did do some cool stuff. You could print out clothes for your Barbie doll, which is pretty cool if you think about it. Like, just from this program is you could design clothes and print them out on paper or whatever, you could get stuck through your inkjet printer of 1996. And then like design clothes for your Barbie. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I certainly wasn't like in that demographic, but I could see why this would be a pretty influential piece of software.
Why didn't they have a boys version with like G.I. Joe?
Right? I would have probably print out guns and dicks.
That was Mario Paint.
100%.
You couldn't print it out.
Yeah, 100%. Why did you're talking about the inkjet printer and the noises? Everything that like worked normal back in the day sounded like it was breaking.
Yeah.
Like the first time you heard like a fax machine or signing into like AOL, like dial up,
Oh,
everything
yeah.
just sounded like it was imploding.
Reaching at you.
Dot matrix
God.
printers.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's every once in a while you still run into a dot matrix printer. Like some business will have one, or like a
Library.
school system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wall Street still has them.
Yeah.
I bet. I don't know. Just printing out stuff all day.
Going back to the TurboGrafx 16 we were talking about earlier, Wilson, I think you mentioned this to me. Crix is the guy who makes those Everdrives, right? He makes those cartridges that you load with ROMs and then stick into original cartridges or consoles. He made this adapter that plugs into the back of a TurboGrafx or PC Engine and has Genesis style output with RGB and composite video, as well as stereo audio, and it's compatible with his Turbo Everdrive, so you can actually play CD games off of the Everdrive and get all the audio working correctly with this device. This device is only $50. You just no mods necessary. You just slot it onto the back of a PC Engine or a TurboGrafx, and you're off to the races. This is a pretty cool device.
And there's already people making people that I follow 3D printers. There's already people making really cool cases for them. They come with a little plexi case and stuff like that, but people are making some that will match depending on what console you have that you're going to use it for. And that's another thing too, the 3D printing community with some of the stuff that's been coming out in the mods have been fantastic. Like I think that's the next rabbit hole. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that's my next rabbit hole is 3D printing.
I am desperately trying to hold off on getting into that just because, like, I do know, like, it'd be something that my son would love too because he's a little engineer and loves making stuff, and be something that we could do. But Jack, the amount of time, the time sink that it will be to get in, and I don't know if you guys are like me. I go all in on stuff like that, so I get it. I want to learn all about it. I want to know the best ways to do things. I want to get decent equipment. I want to like have space for it and all this stuff. And it's just like,
I have a feeling that the three of us share this particular.
It's like months. So it's how I am with collecting. It's not like I can just collect a few things. I got to go all out. But so I'm just like desperately holding on to it probably costs at least $1,000 to like really get into something like this. Is that what I need to be doing right now? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But for only $50, you can make your turbo output amazing RGB quality. You'd have to scoop some like so here's the problem, right? Like that style of Genesis has been known to have horrible composite output, the red, white, and yellow. A lot of ones that you get online, left and right audio are switched. They're almost never. Yeah, it's like this weird. I don't know what it is. So there's a gentleman, I think it's Todd Gill is his name, is going to be making some quality composite cables for Genesis 2 style. And everyone chimed in as a joke. We demand switched left and right audio to keep the trend going. But if you get some nice HD Retrovision cables, and that's where a lot of these mods that I've been doing really shine. Scart's cool, it's great, but I didn't grow up with it. It's scary. There's so many different things. C-Sync on Luma and Luma on all the Chroma and all these different things that it's probably not going to harm your equipment. Most of the time, if it's not meant for your equipment, you'll get a garbled image or no image at all or something, but it's always good. Safe bet component cables, red, green, blue, and red and white. And that is what's really recommended with this mod from Crix. It's like Briar said, plug and play solution, no solderless. You don't have to take apart your console, nothing, just plugs right into the back. And then you've got that 9-pin DIN connector that like is the classic Genesis 2 style. And you get some really good quality. There's another option from somebody named Zaxor that's an internal one, the Turbo Nanza. and I think that also allows for S
Way
video.
better name.
Turbo Ninja is pretty dope. But Zaxor is a good dude. He's the reason why I was able to do the triple bypass on my Sega Model 2, which is like Model 2 doesn't have great sound compared to the Model 1, so it changes that. It amplifies the sound and it amplifies the RGB. So that's like the three things that it does, like the triple bypass. But he wrote up guides for that, makes the little PCB boards that you solder in. So he's an actual professional, like he knows what he's doing. So those are two good options, but you can't beat a $50 plug and play.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think the only other one I know of that I looked into, I think was made by like Terra Onion, and it was, I want to say it was upwards of $300. It did include an Everdrive type device in it.
Right.
But apparently like the sound was kind of messed up on it. So I don't know. This thing, I'm definitely buying. It's out of stock right this second, but I will be keeping an eye on it so I can order one.
I think you can sign up for like a newsletter possibly, but I'll keep my eyes peeled, and if I see one available, I'll scoop it. Like if you're busy or something, and I stay glued to all that stuff. I got notifications for people because for a while the SNES style HD Retrovision cables were being made, and for a very long time they made a huge stock of them, and it took me probably like 3 months before they finally, and I had them on like pre-order before I got them, but places like Castlevania and stuff got them in stock right now, and they're a really good option for your Super Nintendo. Any Super Nintendo that's not a Model 2 can take advantage of them. You don't have to mod your console.
You gotta do
those
that.
cables.
Dude,
those cables.
I did all SCART, and I even got one of those like G-SCART switches, but now I don't have everything hooked up all the time. I prefer to like take it off the shelf, hook it up when I'm going to play it, instead of just having everything hooked up all the time. So I think this is a better option. This one was really cool. So there's now these modders are doing patches for Dreamcast games that were previously stuck at 480i, and now they're going to be able to run at 480p. So with the Dreamcast, there used to be like a VGA cable that you could buy, and you could run games at 480p, and they looked magnificent, but only some games supported it, and you never knew what games did because they didn't really list it on the back of the box or anything like that. And some games you had to like hold the button to get it to boot into 480p mode, and the games that didn't were interlaced, and interlacing on modern TVs does not look awesome. So this is a really cool thing. I think they're planning on doing some more patches like that with more of the games. I think the guy's name is Tapum N, but I got this off of RetroRGB.com. Bob actually interviewed the guy, and then he's got a list of the games. Some of them are games that are pretty popular. Dino Crisis, Air Force Delta, Bengai O, I think is a really popular one. King of Fighters Dream Match 1999. There's a bunch of them. And then they have another list of unsupported games as well. So this is a big win for Dreamcast fans. So if you have like an ODE or something like that, you can just download the patch, update your game, and load it onto the ODE, and off you are to the races. You probably just burn it to a disc as well.
Did you guys have a Dreamcast growing up?
Yeah. I was.
You did. God, you were so cool, dude.
I was day one at Toys R Us. I was in line.
My.
There was nobody buying Dreamcast on day one. I should have taken that as a sign. There was no line outside of Toys R Us waiting to buy a Dreamcast. I had that thing pre-ordered, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here to buy a Dreamcast." They're like, "Who?"
Dream what?
Yeah, but I bought a bunch of games. I remember seeing, I think it was called NFL 2K, NFL Sports 2K. On TV, like a commercial, and being like, it looks like real life. It looks amazing.
It was ahead of its time. I didn't have it back in the day, and I wish I did. I missed out, dude. I could have had internet, dude, in my own room.
I was living actually in a house with a couple of friends, and we were playing Ready to Rumble and Soul Calibur like all the time.
That's cool,
all the
man.
time.
That's great, and it's really cool. I watched that interview with Bob, and it's so cool that like people are putting what they have the most skill points into these old projects. You know what I mean? People that are really good. It's become very aggressive lately. I think we were talking about it, Briar, especially with the Mister side of things. I want another thing I want that
Right. That
Yeah.
should be number one. Mister is so fucking cool.
DE10
Top
chips
of
are
the
so
list.
hard to get right now.
Are
They're
they
like,
really?
well, it's just like we're kind of coming out of a chip shortage. Knock on wood. But like that's just the big thing. Like I want to get one, but it's just cool that like there's a lot of people just working on stuff for old games that like you never would have thought seen the light
Yeah.
of day, and it can make a big difference like this. So
Every day on Retro RGB, they're talking about a new Saturn translation, right? It's like a previously unreleased in America Saturn game, or with no English translation, finally getting an English translation. And they're doing an awesome job. Like they're hiring voice actors for these things and shit. So
Man.
it's insane. Bitmap Books has a new PC Engine book coming out. The box art collection launches this June. Big fan of PC Engine. Big fan of Bitmap Books. I'm gonna buy this. I'm trying not to just buy all of the Bitmap books at this point. I just enjoy every one that comes in.
Very topical today.
Right? We are talking a
Rondo
lot
Blood.
about the turbo and the PC Engine, aren't we?
Well, I mean, and Rondo of Blood.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to be talking about that. Yeah, I love these books.
I like physical books. Briar sent me some magazines and stuff that I've been going through and looking at. It's kind of sparked my interest of the tactile feeling of books versus just reading something on a monitor. It's a little bit more intimate, I guess you could say.
It's fun to like leaf through a magazine.
Yeah.
I like the idea of books, but in practicality for us, like I'm imagining the scenario where having one is, and we don't have people over ever. So, who are the people that are going to want to look at it other than me? Nobody.
I'm not buying them for anybody else. Nobody in my house gives a shit about my Sega Genesis / Mega Drive complete list of like every game that ever came out for it. Nobody in this house cares, but I like to leaf through it, and like sometimes I'll be like, "What was that game?" And I'll start like leafing through it. Like, was it like Turbo something, Turbo Ball? Like, I'll start like looking through it, like try and find like pictures. I don't know. I really like them. I'm not going to collect every game that came out for the PC Engine, but it's fun to see all the box art and see all that stuff. I think it's really cool.
Sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's not something I actually leave on the coffee table.
If I came over, I would be interested.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like what Jay was saying. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that, we might skim through if we were to come over. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. What's the guy's channel who does the magazine read throughs? It's CRGB, CGB. He'll open up like an EGM, like EGM issue 1, and then he'll with a camera facing down at it, and he'll just read through it. It's really fascinating. Cool. I love that channel. It's really relaxing too. If you're looking for like a nap in a good way, I'm not saying he's boring. I'm just saying it's a relaxing kind of almost ASMR-ish kind of thing to just like look at these ads and listen to stories and just kind of
in a Bob Ross way.
Yeah, in a nice way.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me that they fall asleep to my voice, and I'm just like, I don't know how to take that.
Well, I think it's a compliment. I've told Tefty that when he was doing streams of that roller coaster game or that theme park game, it was like my favorite like ASMR stream, because he would just be building and like putting together these like roller coasters in this theme park, and I would, he streamed late at night like you used to, and I would just fall asleep to it. It was my favorite. I think my favorite stream of all time.
Those were good.
Man, we are really catching a theme today. A rare Castlevania arcade game has just been preserved.
Heck yeah.
I actually was watching a YouTube video about this like a week ago. This is fascinating. So it's called Haunted Castle. I'm sorry, no, that was the first one. It's called Castlevania the Arcade. This game was an arcade game that came out in 2009, and the controller was a whip, and you used to kind of like Wii-ish style, like fling it around, and you were controlling the whip, like, kind of first person. Imagine Time Crisis, but you're not shooting at people. You're using a whip to whip them. It's really cool. Unfortunately, they have not yet figured out how to interface that whip controller to the ROM that they've kind of created. So there's still work to be done to make this playable, but they have like preserved the actual software and all that, which previously had been like lost. So this is like a Castlevania game that was lost, thought to be lost, and has now been preserved, and now they're feverishly working to actually figure out a way to play it, which is awesome.
I wonder if they can use like Switch controllers or something that has motion built in.
Yep.
I'm sure they can figure it out. They just gotta like figure out like what the inputs are and like how the software like interprets all that stuff.
Some of the gyroscope,
yeah,
Motion Plus,
yeah.
Just have like a full controllers.
Yeah. Whatever gets the ball rolling, man. That's all it takes is one idea, and then someone comes up and Frankenstein's the rest with a proof of concept. So,
yeah,
like Briar said, it's only a matter of time. It's really cool that stuff's being preserved. I know that topic gets talked about at nauseum, but it is kind of scary to think something from my beloved Castlevania franchise could be lost to the annals of time. So,
speaking of the beloved Castlevania,
to the annals
franchise.
of time, yes.
This week's game of the week is Castlevania Rondo of Blood. Came out in 1993 for the PC Engine. Was only released in Japan by Konami. This is the game. I think a lot of people like hold this one up as the greatest of the pre-Metroidvania Castlevanias, like the linear Castlevanias, right? It was a PC Engine CD game. Never made its way to America, but people always talked about it like it was something very special. So to be able to play it now, I think is actually really cool. How'd you guys play this? What'd you play it on?
I played it on my amazing Wii console.
Oh, nice.
Wii Mendefen, I think, is the software that I used to run it, and there was only one hiccup the entire time. It kind of remixed the track. Like the track kind of skipped a little bit during one fight, but other than that, like it ran pretty good. I would have liked to have run it on original hardware, but like you know how it is. So
yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to run on original hardware.
First thing that makes it a banger right out the gate, that classic Konami jingle at the beginning, dude.
Yeah, it's good.
Like good. Talk about logos you can hear.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? That just anytime. Timeless. Back when Konami cared, man.
Come back to us, Konami. God damn it.
Dude, I'll still give you a hug. Like you can still come hang out and play games. Yeah. Like
we like pachinko, but we also like, cool stuff too.
You saved your favorite spot on the couch.
Yeah. How'd you play this one, Jay?
So it's a good question because I literally Googled that. I was like, best way to play Rondo Blood because I, don't have a PC Engine. This game's not cheap. It is Japan only.
Yeah.
I do have the PSP Dracula X Chronicles. I also have Dracula X for SNES, but
not the same game.
Right. The PSP version, it's like a 2.5D. It's the same environments, but it's 3D sprites and all that stuff.
Yeah, the original game X is on that disc though.
Not with the 2D sprites, it's not.
Yes,
on
it
the
is.
PSP.
Yes, it is. Is it? Yeah, you got to unlock it by playing through the 2.5D.
I didn't know that.
I didn't see that, but I believe you. So Dracula X is like what? It's like 70% the same. There's quite a bit that's different.
Yeah.
And there was a release for the PlayStation 4.
Yes.
Called Castlevania Requiem.
Yeah.
And it's currently on sale on the PlayStation Store for $10, and it includes Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night, and it has the English translations and all that stuff. So it's like they took the gameplay of the PSP version and they put the 2D sprites over it. So I felt like, legally speaking, streaming it, all that stuff, and also not playing an emulated version, this was probably my best shot. So I spent the $10 and I got it on PS4.
Yeah.
And I got to the 4th level, so I beat 3 bosses. Okay. I had never played it before.
Which boss is the 4th boss? Was it the
depends.
Oh, right, I guess it does depend.
Yeah.
So
it's not 100%
who did I get
linear.
Stuck on? I think I got stuck on a level, so I'm not even sure who the boss was because I didn't.
What was the last boss you beat? Was it the Minotaur?
So, yes, I beat the Minotaur, and I beat the werewolf, and I beat Death, and there was one more.
You beat Death.
I think.
Yo, my man.
Or no. Sorry. That was the intro.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
The death fight was so good.
Yeah, I had trouble with the death fight. I'll be honest with you. I had trouble with the headless horseman and the death fight both.
Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite thing was the secrets weren't always like hidden meat and items and stuff. Sometimes it would open a completely new way to go.
Yeah.
And you would
playing
fight
as the girl.
Yeah.
Unlocked playing as the girl. That's what I did. And then I started playing as the girl, and I'm like, I love her. I'm playing her forever. She's shooting birds everywhere and double jumping, hopping, like way more mobile. It was great.
Maria's great. She's very, very useful in the game. But aside of rescuing her, you could actually go different directions and fight different bosses.
Right.
Because did you make it? Did you make it all the way through, Briar?
I did.
My man.
With help.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I abused save states on the shaft fight where you got it was brilliant how they did it. Right. There's secrets, different paths you can take that lead to different bosses. But once you get to the shaft fight, you have a mini boss rush with the game.
That is amazing.
For me, he summoned the bosses that I didn't fight, the paths that I didn't take. So I got a plethora. I got the whole buffet of bosses.
Oh, really? Okay, so I didn't know that was an option. I got all Castlevania 1 bosses. I got Medusa, Frankenstein, who else? The Mummy. I got all the Castlevania 1 bosses.
Okay, I'm trying to remember who I got.
I didn't know there were different bosses that could be up here.
Yeah, I swear it was all different bosses. And can we talk about how like the awesome little cheapness of when you do defeat a boss, how they have that little final attack
like
just in case.
A final fuck you.
That was bullshit.
I knew.
That was bullshit. The Minotaur, I'm lucky I had full health because he hit me. I got down to like a quarter.
He goes full on like Shoryuken and does like a fucking dragon punch.
He's dead. This is bullshit.
No, dude, that's his anime moment of like I'm going
God.
out with a bang, like
This game is so anime too. It's like the first time I really remember seeing anime in Castlevania, right? It's like this game that it's got that full anime intro. It's got anime cutscenes
in
kind of
German,
throughout.
by the way.
Well, that's just like none of the other ones are in German. That one is because it's like some kind of incantation that the guy's saying.
Yeah.
But then like there's like these girls kind of like hidden around the castle, and you like as you save them, you get new cutscenes, and I think it improves your ending. I'm not positive about that. There's so many secrets though. It's like you can like sometimes you just like gotta fall down a random hole, and all of a sudden you're like on a boat getting taken across the river Styx, and like like what the hell is even happening here?
Well, yeah, am I going the right way?
Sometimes you'd fall and it's like, oh, I can keep going, and actually this is a faster way, an easier way to get to where I was going.
It's like a shortcut. Yeah.
It's like, this is weird.
So I beat both. I did Dracula X and Rondo just to scratch them off the list.
Okay.
Sure.
Rondo's great for Dracula X is like a quick and dirty, more easily accessible, in my opinion. The fire, hot take, Dracula X does fire better on the Super Nintendo. Just saying.
Interesting.
Fire in the background is so cool looking. But I found the enemy variety to be a little bit more bland in Dracula X. Maybe a little bit more limited to what they could do. And the bosses as well. Like it was all I think like you said, it was like Frankenstein's mummies. It was all like Castlevania 1.
Castlevania 1. So I have like I have a real connection to Castlevania 1 and those bosses because they were like the original like kind of like horror movie bosses.
Oh, yeah, creature feature.
Yeah, so like it was like I was literally like popping out of my seat when I started seeing those things appear on the screen. I'm like, oh shit, it's Medusa, and then right after you kill Medusa, and then oh shit, it's Frankenstein's monster. It's like oh, and they just keep appearing, and you got to like fight each one, and the fights kind of feel a lot like Castlevania 1, and even the Dracula fight feels a lot like the Castlevania 1 Dracula fight. So there's like certain like homages to Castlevania 1 in this game, which I think there almost always are. Like they really do like to reference that game a lot.
I think the upcoming anime is kind of supposed to take place during this particular arc. So it's supposed to follow Richter.
Is this a new movie or is this part of
It's
the,
like the anime series.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Which if you haven't watched it, I know the first couple episodes are a little gory and hard to get through if it's not your thing, but like the rest of it is just geniusly done.
Yeah, it's really fun. I don't like anime too much, but I am addicted to that show.
And I'm with you, Briar. Some of the older ones, my favorite Castlevania is the one that everyone hates too. Simon's Quest.
I do hate that one.
Exactly.
You know what's funny, Briar? I was challenging the PC Engine thing on the PSP, and I literally put it in the notes.
What's that?
I was the last note about the Dracula X Chronicles for the PSP that you can unlock the PC Engine version.
Okay.
I put it in the notes, and I had forgotten.
Yeah, I remember that because I was trying to get a hold of that version of the game, but then they came out with the Castlevania Requiem, so I ended up getting that instead.
I think that's a great option though. Like Jay was saying, I mean, $10 PS4. Oh,
yeah,
look at that beautiful artwork.
Yeah, that's so good. That's a lot better than what's on the Castlevania Requiem box.
My favorite thing about this game, I have two favorite things. One, the music.
Dude,
yeah.
I was
banging.
very surprised. Like there's like synth wave and like it felt like, why does it feel like I'm in Miami Vice right now?
So
like what,
good.
this is not a
So
Castlevania
good. Crank
music.
it.
Yeah.
It's
great.
so good.
And then
the sound effects though, not as high quality.
No.
they're not as memorable, that's for sure.
When you kill
the little
flea man,
the little jumping gnomes or whatever, like, ah! Like,
yeah. My
like,
wife was sitting next to me and she started imitating like, ow.
Sam was doing the Dracula fight where he when he does something. Yeah, Sam's like, "What are you playing?" I was like, "God, no,
can't talk now. I'm killing Dracula."
Not now, damn it.
And then her name's Marie, you said?
Maria.
Yeah. She has one of her special attacks or whatever is just she like gets into a turtle shell and she like crawls like, so you can cheese an entire level as long as it's like you can just crawl and nobody can hurt you, but bosses can break it, but it doesn't hurt your health.
Oh, I didn't know.
So you can
do
just
that.
go into the shell and like kind of watch the mechanics for a second and then get, because I didn't use save states or anything. I used in Requiem, there's like a save and quit option. You can like save at any point.
Yeah.
If you do that, you got to stop playing.
Yeah, that's in the game itself.
You can, which is fabulous. Better than a password system.
Yeah.
Better than lives and full game over and wanting to never play the game again.
Yeah, I played it. I actually played it on the Pocket. I played it on on the TV though. So like I had a 8-bit dude controller, you know, like Bluetooth to the Pocket, and then I was playing on the TV. And the wife was sitting next to me for most of the time I was playing it. She even commented about the music. Like the music is powerful. Like it's it rocks. It's totally Castlevania music. I don't know. Did you guys, when you get to the boat, like not the boat, but like the ship level, like that track, I think might be original for this game. I've never heard it before, but man, it was so fun. Like I really enjoyed it. Plus, like
because there's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple tracks like Vampire Killer and Bloody Tears. You know, there's your
classics,
the bangers from back in the day. And I think the one that you're talking about, I think it is exclusive to this game.
Because it being a CD game, this was like recorded music, right? This was like I don't know, an orchestra or something. Are there anything in the notes about that? I don't know who recorded it, but
a couple composers.
It sounds awesome. It sounds so good. Maybe one complaint is that I think it loops a little too fast. Like it'd be nice if it lasted a little longer before it looped. But I mean, let's not pick hairs here. It sounds good.
You can do the sound check thing too. You know, like old school games where you can go and just listen to. That was the first thing I did. Is I was like, wait, this is in the level. This is like it just very much the synthwave vibe stuff. I was very confused by at first, but
yeah, it sounds awesome.
It was super cool.
I think the game looks awesome too. Like graphically, it looks
great.
Like there is pretty early in the game, there's this part where this huge beast like dog thing starts like chasing you. And like you're running away from this, like the 30th time you're running away from this thing, you like know the route, you know how to get through it. But the first time you see that thing, you're like, oh shit! Like this thing's coming at me, and it's probably gonna catch you because you're trying to like
thing that decapitates itself.
Yeah, you're trying to like run and whip the candles to get like your items, and also I think there's a couple skeletons in your way. So oh man, it's so cool. And then you finally get away from it, and it decapitates itself by like running into a wall.
Yeah, that was wild.
There's like these big giants right at the beginning too that are really impressive. Like the game starts strong. Like it just graphically very impressive right out the gate. There are some like points later on where, especially I think in the Maria levels, where you kind of like, all right, this looks a little not as good, but whatever, it looks good.
The death fight was really well. I love the ability where stuff comes from the background and something that moves up to the foreground. The death fight was a lot of fun. My favorite thing about it was that it was challenging, but I felt like when I died, it was my own fault versus something like the death fight in Castlevania 2, where it's just spam. He just spams scythes constantly, and it's just kind of like a prey
you're right.
moment.
That's a terrible game.
Yeah, or I should have never told you that. That was my favorite game. You're just gonna rip on it so hard from now on. But yeah,
but both the boss fights are in that game, and one of them is terrible.
It's good. The death fight in this game has been my favorite death fight so far in many.
Yeah, that's a cool one. And you kind of fight him twice, like first time on the chariot in the beginning, and the second time. It's so cool. The setting is cool for it, right? Death just looks fucking badass.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I don't want to spoil too much about the fight, but like, yeah, it's great because expect shenanigans with death. You know what I mean? Like, he's an elemental. I don't know if you like heard the whole lore about that. He's not actually death.
Oh, he's not. What is he?
He's a spirit elemental that took on the name Death because it like feeds on when you die. That's what it feeds on.
Oh, interesting.
You just happen to be a part of Dracula's court because Dracula was going to bring death on a scale unimagined. So, death would...
Seems like a good place for him to be.
He'd prosper the most from it. So it's good. And then there's Carmilla was in it as well, who's a timeless boss, fantastic female vampire.
Is she named in the game, or is it like external lore? Because there is no English manual. Like I look for a manual, I couldn't find an English translation.
You can look up the boss list.
You can do the manual on Dracula X Chronicles.
Oh, is the
who did you? I don't remember what boss it was, but there was a let's see,
the eyeball with teeth.
Yo, that was good. There was one that had a female sprite on the floor. Her name was Laura.
Oh, that wasn't Carmilla.
No, she would come up to you, and I think it was the big skull that was flying around everywhere.
Okay.
There was
a dragon. Did she have a dragon too?
I'm not sure, maybe, but
there's so many bosses in this game. It's amazing.
It's incredible, and it's a game that you could play through multiple times. And if you remember your routes, you'll have a good time.
Yeah,
because there's new things to discover. But she would like grapple onto you and like start making out with your character, and all your hearts would start just shooting up in the air. So she would drain all your item hearts, and she'd grapple you and like start to bend you backwards to like kiss you and stuff like the old. It was. I was like, am I supposed to like
get some?
Yeah. I'm trying to fight the boss here.
I think I saw that YouTube video, but I don't think I actually got to that in my own playthrough.
Yeah, fantastic game.
My biggest gripe, and this is probably the same with every Castlevania game, is that the hearts are not health.
Yeah. But
because you're collecting stuff and you're like, wait, I should be getting health, right? No.
Well, I think of it as like vitality to do stuff.
Oh, I get it. I understand it now. But when I first started playing, I was like, why am I not?
Yeah.
I got to find
they
wall
can't change
cake.
It now,
I got to find wall cake, cake
wall
in the
meat.
wall.
Wall meat.
Or meat.
Yeah.
It was like, it felt like it was all cake and desserts in this game. It was like, there was like a milkshake.
There was like this huge one that I found.
Cake.
It was like
the size giant
of
cake.
The character.
Giant cake.
Was it cake for you? It was a giant
meat, my friend.
ham bone.
Maybe the Requiem game is cake. It was desserts. Maybe. It was cake and like
maybe
milkshakes.
They changed it.
Yeah.
Or is that because you were playing Maria and that's her health item?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
was like, I have stream proof. It was cake.
I do like
Yeah.
I do like that there are 2 characters in this. You get the second character like right off the bat in the first level too, so it's not like you got to like play all the way through to open it up.
It was like the second or third level, I think, because you had to.
Second.
For me, yeah, you had to
Okay.
get the key and go down, whatever. So
Yeah, that was the thing. You had to get that key, and it took up your item slot. Did you
Yeah.
try to use
Yeah.
the key
it
before
was
you
like,
got to the door?
it's like question mark. I'm like,
Yeah, what am I supposed to
I
do
knew
with
exactly
this?
where to go because I had seen it already. So
Yeah. Yeah, like Wilson said too, I feel like this is like a fair Castlevania as far as Castlevania goes. It's difficult. I find it difficult, but it's like you said, it's not. I don't feel like it's like cheating on me. I feel like when I die, I could have done better. You know,
Sure.
you're way more maneuverable than you are in earlier games. You can change direction mid jump. You know, you still have that knockback effect when you get hit, which can send you down holes, but that can also like open up a new level for you. So it's like it's somehow easier to cope with in this game because it's not just an instant death. Like sometimes it helps you find like a new path.
sure.
If you hold up while you're on stairs and you're falling, you do land on the stairs.
Yes, that is awesome, and you can jump up onto stairs and you can jump off of stairs. So you're not just like
Yeah.
locked onto them. You know, it feels like a newer Castlevania. This, of course, did spawn the sequel, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which was the PlayStation game that, I mean, it spawned the Metroidvania kind of version of Castlevania, and probably the most popular Castlevania. I don't know, maybe.
In the U.S., probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone knows Symphony of the Night.
yeah. And you actually play the last battle from this game as the
Yeah.
first battle in that game.
Which
just
is
like-
also kind of the boss fight in 1 as well. I kind of found that Dracula was an homage to 1. So
Very
if you're
much.
familiar with 1,
you're gonna know what
You'll
to
be
do right
good.
away. Yeah.
I got slapped so many times, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start the level over. I'm going to get there with more health. And it was tough, dude. I had to restart because that was the one where I was like, okay, I at least beat the game. I save stated my way through the shaft fight. All right. Like, I at least got to beat Dracula without cheesing it.
Yeah.
And it was tough. There were moments I was like, dude, I'm halfway through this in full health, dude. I could just hit that hotkey for the save state real quick and come back to this part whenever I want to, but it just didn't feel right for the boss fight. So
I beat Castlevania 1 for the first time, probably, I don't know, 2018, 2019. And I've gone through it a few times after that. So I'm very familiar with that Dracula fight. So when I got to him, I saw the pattern right away. It's like, oh, hell yeah. I got this.
like, here we go again. Have you do you have a whole lot of other how many other Castlevania games have you played, Jay, other than this one? Is this one of your firsts, or
Well, we played the first one on the podcast a while ago, like probably a year ago, I feel like at this point.
okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, trying to think. I mean, I've tried Castlevania games here and there. I've plugged in like the GBA ones, which are good for like
Oh,
a
yeah.
little while and played around with those and stuff, but never really like with a focus started from the beginning and like try to see how far I could get and stuff.
The
be
GBA
honest.
ones are great. Do you play your Game Boy Advance a lot? Do you have like the GameCube player one, or bless you?
Sorry, I speaking of refurb stuff, I refurbed 101. So I have an
Yo.
SP plus. I have,
Is that the flip one that has the light up screen?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
101?
yeah.
Oh.
This is my favorite. Well, the 101 just means it's the brighter screen. So the GBA SP is what this is. This is a refurbed model. But the original one was AGS 001, which is the front lit. And
Yep.
then this is the 101, which is the back lit, which is way better.
I did the so I originally went the same route as you and got one of those, but my hands, after long playing periods, I find
you put an LCD or
oh
an
my
IPS
God, my
screen in
lighting
your
is terrible.
GBA.
I don't stream. I'm so sorry. This
Well,
is
those-
you know what? This I'm not even gonna try. It's
He's
bright.
showing-
It looks great.
Bask in the glow of the Game Boy.
Is that like an IPS V2
Yes,
on a
correct.
GBA? Yeah,
it's got
I don't
the
have any of
IPS.
those yet, but
That's
It's
cool.
good. They're a fantastic Game Boy modding is a fantastic place to
sure.
start.
So this is the max that I've done. These, they don't require any soldering. It takes me about an hour, but I have fucked up some ribbon cables on screens, like ripped them
Oh,
in
yeah.
half. So
Ugh.
because they're real delicate.
My favorites gotta be the original, the Game Boy Color though. I put a nice screen in this,
It's got
and
light up
there's
buttons.
Yeah, that's
so you
cool.
can change the colors of them. There's like a flat, quick solder board that goes like over all the buttons that has tiny little LEDs, and you can cycle through like the RGB and like the breathing effect and stuff like that.
Does that
And
have like USB charging and all that stuff? Because you can get mods for that.
you definitely can, because that's what I got for the Game Boy Advance,
Yeah.
right? I got the USB-C battery cover on the back and a rechargeable battery. With
Those are so
this,
cool.
I find it doesn't take as much of a charge to do, so just getting some really nice high quality rechargeable batteries that you can recharge on your own are fine. The thing about this is this mod is reversible. Anybody can
Hmm.
reverse and take out the USB-C and put in the battery prongs back and go back to
Sure.
it. With this, if I was to like offer this as like a service or something,
You have
and
to like mangle it.
somebody made a bad, I mean, it is reversible, but not to the normal person that doesn't want to get in there with the desoldering iron. And once you start getting into power options, you know, you really got to do your homework, because if somebody releases a bad power mod, it can open up a slew of problems. You know, maybe not right away, maybe a year or two down the line. You know what I mean? Like, you never know.
Right.
But another good place to start too is the Game Boy Macro mod.
Yeah.
So this is a DS that I bought real cheap that had a broken top screen, and you basically install a flex amp which boosts the sound and tricks the Game Boy into thinking that it has a top screen so it can boot.
Oh.
Yo, nice. The micro. Nice.
Teeny tiny.
This I think it was, oh, I'm bad. I shouldn't say the name if I don't remember it. It might have been Boxy Pixel. I can't remember. Somebody did this aluminum faceplate for it, and then it was Helder that did the flex amp, and I put a Nintendo Switch speaker in
nice.
there. Yeah, and it's a little loud, it's a little crunchy, but it's about the only speaker, because the flex amp amplifies the sound a lot on it. But you know, if you guys ever want to get into tinkering like this, these are a really good place to start.
Yeah, I'm a big handheld fan
Yeah, man.
in general.
Absolutely.
My eyes aren't good enough.
I don't play them as much
Really?
anymore, to be honest. But just as a kid, Game Boy games were some of the only games we were allowed to buy because you couldn't really rent them.
Yeah.
So console games, for the most part, we had to rent. But I was allowed to have a handful of Game Boy games for trips
That's
and stuff.
interesting. I
keep
never
my ass
thought about
busy.
that before. That's
Yeah.
makes
So
a lot of
I have a
sense.
huge love for Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and stuff.
Anything else we want to say about Castlevania Rondo of Blood besides it's fucking awesome?
Dude, if you haven't played it, and you're a fan of Castlevania games,
Yeah.
do yourself a service and play this.
Seriously.
game.
$10 on PlayStation 4. I
Yep.
played it on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, that's a good version. It is a good
It is.
version.
It was on sale normally $20, so I don't know how long that sale's gonna last. But I was
Actually,
pleasantly surprised. too.
Limited
Yep.
Run did a
Physical.
physical
Oh!
of that,
That's cool.
and they did
So
like kind
good.
of like the NES style packaging, which I think is pretty neat.
Oh, that is sharp looking.
Isn't that cool?
So
I
they
haven't
do-
even opened it because I bought
No.
I had the digital version because the physical came out way after the digital. But
Does the SNES physical Castlevania collection have Rondo of Blood in it? Do you know from Limited Run?
the SNES,
I have that.
No, I do not believe it does.
Because I bought that, but
Because
I haven't opened it.
I think the reason that it
Because
doesn't
of
have
that.
Rondo of the Blood is because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a bummer because that is a really nice collection.
I'm jealous of that limited run.
Yeah,
set that
that's
you got.
pretty neat.
That is sharp. But like Jay said, get it on the PlayStation. Spend the $10.
Yeah, it's a
support
good version,
the-
and you get a Symphony of the Night,
Mm-hmm.
another
Yeah, it was
banger.
solid.
and you get achievements or you get trophies.
Yeah.
and the trophies are kind of
It has-
cool.
It has the backdrop, similar to like old virtual console stuff where it put the backdrops and stuff, so it's not just black. So it was actually pretty solid for streaming and stuff. As
Oh,
well.
like on the borders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like a straight up like a Castlevania background.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right. Jay, do you have any pickups?
I do have a few. I don't think
Ooh.
I covered because what was it? Our episode 2 weeks ago. I think I got these literally that day or the day after. I had made an order with PlayAsia for the Final Fantasy
Klonoa.
Pixel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Klonoa and the pixel remastered Final Fantasy stuff.
Cool.
The only thing I'm curious about, I don't think they're the North American versions, which doesn't really matter, but at the same time, I don't like collecting overseas stuff generally because I bought this
I
and it
don't
said
know that they're going to
NTSC.
come out with a US version of either of those though.
Well, there's a US version of this one for sure.
There is
Final
for
Fantasy.
sure. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because you can buy it, you could buy it on their website, but they're selling for like $300 on Amazon or on eBay right now, or $250 or
Hard
something.
pass.
Do I really need it? Like, I have all these games as hard, copies. I don't know.
Right.
But Klonoa, it's also a very expensive series between the PS1,
Yeah.
and stuff. So
You got that
I
from
don't know.
PlayAsia? Is there a
Yeah,
is there a US version of that physical?
that one I'm not sure,
Okay.
to be honest. But basically, I ended up buying this because I was gonna get this, but I would have had to spend like $20 in shipping, or if I
they'll
got
give
one
you
more
free
thing, you
shipping
got
if
free
you spend
shipping.
like a certain amount.
And there was a discount code, so I ended up getting both for I think for about $100 or something.
How long did it take
terrible.
for them to ship it to you?
A while,
Yeah.
a couple of months.
Yeah, it takes a bit.
And then also, I had to get the Zelda game.
Yeah, I
even
got
though
one of them too.
I don't even know if I'm gonna play it. Like,
really?
my wife will play it for sure. She played through Breath of the Wild. Like, it's weird with Zelda. I always say this. I own almost all the Zelda games, and I want to love them. Every time I plug them in,
Yeah.
it's just like there's something about it that just does not gel with my personality.
Yeah.
Like with Breath of the Wild, it's open world stuff, and just I like more linear experiences and whatnot. But
I got
my
mixed
wife will
feelings
play it,
about
so-
Breath of the Wild for sure.
Yeah.
I assume I'm gonna have
No.
mixed feelings about this game. I've only put I think I put 5 hours into this so far.
Yeah. I haven't.
I
touched it yet.
have an opinion, but I don't want to. I want to hear what you guys have to. I don't want to put out any expectations to either of you. So,
to Tears of the Kingdom.
yeah, for Tears of the Kingdom,
Oh,
I'm having a
yeah.
blast with it. I'm having
Yeah?
a blast with it.
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
it's a
And
good
I mean,
time.
most people, I haven't seen a negative review. So
Yeah, well, if
Other-
you
other-
review a Zelda game negatively on the internet, you get kicked off.
There was
Other than
one guy
people-
that gave it a 6,
Yeah?
but he also gave Breath of the Wild a 6.
Okay.
So it's not like he's just doing it to be edgy.
he's like me. It's just not for him.
Well, I mean,
At that point.
that's a bad review, I would say. I mean, like a 6. Even if you don't like the game, you gotta respect it for what it's doing. You have to.
Homie really hated weapon degradation.
I don't love that either, but a 6 is kind of stupid.
I mean, it definitely takes it down at least a point. The weapon degradation. We
I
at
mean,
least
it
have
literally
to.
stresses me out.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah.
I do have
It's,
one more.
Yeah, what do
Sorry.
you got?
No.
one
I
more
want to see
thing
what you
I'll
get.
pick up. So my birthday was Friday.
Happy
And-
birthday.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
man.
So somebody from our community reached out and was like, "Hey, would you be interested in this thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I shot him an offer, like a cash offer. And apparently the offer was so low, they're like, "Nah, I'm just gonna send it to you." So they sent it. They sent me this
Your money's so good here, Popper.
3DS XL Mario Edition. It's one that I didn't have, so it's super cool. I
cool.
No,
I
that's
have,
cool.
yeah, it's the
Oh.
Mario one. On the
My
back
kids
of
have
Luigi.
the
Oh, it's the
Mario
Luigi.
and Luigi one of those. With the
Yeah.
silver one with Mario and Luigi on it. It's
Oh
really
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
That's cool. I like
So-
that.
They're a good thing to have right now.
Yes.
Everybody's got that classic fear of missing out after the shops close. Everyone's buying up Wii U's and
Oh, yeah.
3DS's at crazy prices.
It's only a
so
matter of time before Wii U stuff skyrockets. to
I
be
agree.
honest.
Yeah,
It's
especially-
already on the up.
Is it?
Yep, a little bit. It's just that
Take 'em all while
classic.
you can.
The eShop closes. Everyone's talking about it. Kind of artificially raises the price,
Sure.
and then we keep telling ourselves, one of these days these games are going to go down, and they never do. So
I mean, it had some good games on it. It was just not a very popular console.
I love my Wii U, man. That's actually what I have at my computer desk. All my other stuff's over in the retro corner. But if I'm just like too lazy and like can't be bothered to go over and like flip like 2 switches, I'll just boot it up on the Wii U.
Nice.
I do prefer the Wii U to the regular Wii, to be honest.
Yeah, it just sucks. The output, the HDMI output quality on the Wii U is just I'm just not compared
Really?
to what the original Wii can do with HDMI. Yeah,
no
but
kidding.
like I said, man, if
Wait, the
everything
Wii had HDMI?
no, if you do the HDMI
Component.
mod, the
Ah.
output
Oh.
on it is just way more clean than the Wii U. For some reason, the just the digital like there's like packet loss or something. I'm not sure what it's the term is, but like I said, man, it looks great for
Gotta get
and
yourself
it's
some
just
monster
fine.
cables.
Yeah, right.
Been $100.
Man.
Gold plated, bro.
I'm saying the gold-plated era of the HDMI cables and stuff like that. My God.
I got a couple of pickups. I got this is a really cool game. This is Galuda 2. This is another shooter from the company Cave that got ported to the Switch. Came out, I think the shooter came out in like 2003, arcade only. I think there was a port for the Saturn, and then it finally made its way to the Switch. This is really cool. I talked about Esperada. This is like kind of like a pseudo sequel to Esperada. I think I like Esperada a little bit better, just because like the visuals just kind of strike me as really cool. It's kind of this like punk, like futuristic cyberpunk kind of thing, and this is more like a fantasy steampunk kind of vibe.
Cool.
But this is really fun. The music is really good. Cave shooters, these bullet hell shooters, I've just gotten addicted to. It's just so intense that like you play for 30 minutes and you don't think about anything else. You just are totally focused on dodging bullets and like shooting stuff. And I really like this game. This one came out, again, it was a limited run release, but it's available digitally on the Switch. And then the Video Game History Foundation sent me another video game mag. I like to show these off. This is Nintendo Power number, I think it's 37? 37.
Damn, that's a good one.
Is it?
Oh, sweet.
I stopped my subscription to that because like 95% of everything that I was getting was stuff I didn't care about. It was like old PC game magazines, and I got, I think in 3 years, I think I got 2 Nintendo Powers.
I have that comic. I'll be right back. It's right here.
There's
That's
a
the
Link,
Zelda comic.
Yeah, Zelda comic in there. Got a Metroid walkthrough.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a
My mom got me this back in the day, and this thing I could never get rid of this, dude. It's got the whole Link to the Past comic in it.
Yeah.
If one of you guys ever want to check it out sometime, I'll send it to you. But this is great. Did you guys have Nintendo Power growing up?
No, I didn't. So this, this is always new to me.
I had a subscription later. I think it was like middle school.
Okay.
Like I had a subscription when they ended Nintendo Power.
Oh, really?
Basically. So it was the last few years of Nintendo Power that I had.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
I was one issue away from getting the Street Fighter 2.
Man.
Next issue, man. Next issue.
Let's
Next issue.
go.
38. I really like these.
Cool artwork.
This is a fun thing, and you're also supporting a good cause by subscribing to that. So I really like it. I've gotten some duds too, but I've gotten some real bangers. And all of them I end up reading through.
Yeah. I was just trying to find some things to cut down costs, and so
I understand. Yeah. And
but
then,
I did like 3 years.
Wilson, you mentioned this, but I ended up with 2 subscriptions to Retro Gamer magazine. So I sent a bunch of them to Wilson. I'm like,
nice.
That Laura Croft one, though.
Yeah, right.
Polygons.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I gotta find the Playboy issue that she was in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the swimsuit cover. It's
was
out
that
there.
Was that Martha Stewart as Lara Croft
What?
in Playboy?
What are you talking
Sorry,
about?
That's a deep cut. Have you not seen on the news that Martha Stewart's on the cover of Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition?
No.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know, 81. She actually looks great.
Martha Stewart's 81 years old?
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. I never liked her until she went to prison for fucking with the IRS. And I was like, yeah, I'm actually a Stewart fan, I think.
Funny thing.
Smoking weed with Snoop Dogg. Was
Hell yeah.
Speaking of that, that's what I got my mom for Mother's Day was Snoop Dogg's cookbook that had a forward from Martha Stewart.
Oh, man.
That was my gift
That's
to my
awesome.
mom. Because I didn't know what else to give my mom. Like,
Yeah.
she has everything. So I was like, I'll get something that'll make her laugh.
I was
way better.
Anniversary gift shopping today, and I think you did better than I did.
Fuzzy socks and fucking bath bombs. I was like, she's gotten enough of those over the years. Get her something different.
That's fantastic. Yeah, those magazines are great. I can remember the day my mom came home with a Nintendo Power. It was the issue with Battletoads on the front.
Oh,
nice.
that's too bad. You must have.
It's Briar's
gotten a bad
favorite game.
impression.
Yeah.
You just hate everything I enjoy. I could already tell you right now. Battletoads is the greatest tech demo game that ever came out. It tried to do too many things. It was just a giant tech demo.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Have we done Battletoads yet?
Yeah, we did.
You're doing it next week.
No, we haven't.
No, we did it.
We haven't done it.
definitely did it.
It's not on the list.
We must have done it.
Did I see you guys did Guardian Legend on NES?
Yeah.
We did. That was our friend Ryan Niemiller's suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great lad. That is someone who
Yes.
knows a good game. That was
a cool
fantastic.
game. I had never checked it out before. That was cool.
What are you guys doing next week for the game?
We're doing Super Mario World, and we're sampling Mario is Missing.
I was gonna say Mario's Missing or Riot. I gotta know.
Oh,
Dropping shit.
For a second, I thought it was the fun with letters.
I bet we'll have it'll be like. I feel like me and Jay have pretty different tastes in games, and I feel like this is gonna be more of a Jay game, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's Mario.
Super Mario World? No way. If you don't like this game, I don't know.
It's not that I don't like them. It's just they're not to my taste, like
Oh,
Kirby.
okay.
Like I just don't.
Well,
Hear me out.
yeah.
Hear me out. You have an RGB modded Super Nintendo on the way.
That's true.
And one
After
of the
I
games that
masturbate, then I'll play Super Mario.
It's, no. That's the next. This would be it looks amazing. Oh, I'm so taken aback by that.
Part's not coming out.
It looks really good in RGB. I feel like it's a good place to start because it's a very colorful game. So maybe when you get your new Super Nintendo, you can pop in Super Mario World and you'll have a damn good time. If you don't make it to at least Star Road.
Where's Star Road? What level is that?
It's like the second to last world. I was just trying to.
So if you don't put 40 hours into this.
It's not a short game.
No,
you
it's
could
not.
put a dozen hours into
I played
this
it when
game
it was
easy.
new. I haven't played it since though.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I played it, but I actually used to love this game. Just the graphics for the time and
looks
the
fantastic.
responsiveness and the playability and stuff of this game. And Yoshi, just
That's right.
fucking.
It is fun smacking that little bastard on the back of the head. Like, whack!
Talk to a speedrunner about Yoshi. They're just tools to be used and thrown away at the runner's whim.
Just toss them off the ledge as they fly. Yeah.
There is a huge
Yoshi,
that is like
no!
a big thing. They're just a tool to go fast. Oh man.
Yeah, that'll be
This
a
was great, guys.
fun week. Yeah, thank you for joining us, Wilson. It's always so fun to catch up with you, man.
I'm saying, Jay, it was nice to finally sit down and get to chat with you in person, so you can finally put a face to the
in person, virtually.
name on the chat.
Yes.
You guys are great. It's always a fun time. I really enjoyed the show. You guys are always comical and stuff, so it's really cool that you guys trusted me enough to come on the show, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Wilson. Thank you very much for coming on. I also
Always
love your
welcome.
t-shirt.
Thanks,
All right,
man.
guys.
Retro RGB.
Thank you all for joining us this week. It's been a long episode. We'll see you in 2 weeks with Mario is Missing and Super Mario World.
Bye.
Bye.